Hey, this is Jim with EduStream TV for our last segment of the day and the last segment of our March event. We are going to be talking about the BirdDog PTZ cameras, their full PTZ camera lineup with full NDI technology, and their brand new cam control software. We have had guests from BirdDog on Video Guys Live for quite some time, but this is the first time that they are joining us on EduStream TV. So without further ado, let me welcome Eamon from BirdDog here on the show with us. Hey, Eamon, how are you?
Hey, Jim, I'm doing good. Firstly, I'd like to apologize for my setup here. It's quite early in the morning and we've been doing some renovations around my house. So I'm in the spare room. I don't have a nice set today, so I apologize for that.
That's quite all right. Eamon, I'll be honest with you, no one's here to really see you. It's all about the BirdDog cameras. It's all about the technology, and it's all about how those are going to fit in to the schools that we're talking to today. We have guests joining us from primary and secondary schools to higher education and universities. And one of the reasons why I wanted to do this segment with you is because BirdDog has a full range of cameras that fits well in pretty much every type of school and every room within the school, whether it is the stage production or just a small classroom. So before we get into the cameras themselves, I thought one of the cool things to do, since we've been focusing a lot on the auto tracking software, is to talk about your brand new cam control software.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. It's great to be here as well. Thanks for inviting us on the show. Cameras are sort of one element of the workflow, and I think I flipped this presentation on its head and started to talk about the software and the interface to the cameras first, because it sort of made a little bit more sense. We've been working on our cam control software for many years now, and cam control is free. It's 100% free to download, and it works with our cameras. And basically, it gives you a window into all of the features of the camera, so you can adjust all of the settings, all of the the really amazing color tools that we have in our cameras and things like that. But more recently, we've actually updated cam control to have free auto tracking. So, you can have, someone, a teacher at the front of the class, walking around doing their thing, and someone could be, using cam control and tracking that teacher around without the need for camera operators. I think this really highlights the power of PTZ cameras as well, is that you don't need camera operators now. You just sort of set them and forget them. The beautiful thing about our cameras is they all run over a single Ethernet cable, so no need to run video cables or anything like that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's one of the things that we had talked about on the introduction to the show, is how NDI technology affords that flexibility. Because now with a single cable, you can get the audio and video from the camera itself. You can get the camera control with even tools like cam control and your auto tracking software, and you can provide power using a PoE switch. So it really makes installation of these cameras super easy in any school environment.
Yeah, it really is one cable rule them all these days. It's a single Cat5 or Cat6 Ethernet cable. You can run power, video, audio, and PTZ control all down the single cable. So with our cameras, you can put them in hard to reach places, run a single cable to them. You don't need to worry about wall warts or anything like that. And you can have them set there for basically forever. And whenever you want to access them, you can just jump on the network, access the video feed anywhere on the network, and do your thing. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, Eamon, one of the things I do want to clarify also is that Cam Control 3.0 is available now with all the BirdDog cameras. But that means it's also available for all of the cameras that are already out there in the field.
Yeah, that's right. One of the things we're really proud of is that we keep continuously updating products that have already been sold. So Cam Control works with every single camera we ever shipped, whether that you bought it yesterday or you buy it tomorrow. It doesn't matter. Yeah, it's a free update and it works with all of our cameras.
That's phenomenal, and that auto tracking capability really is a great way to get more out of your cameras. It adds more interest and more engagement to your productions and to the audience. So now let's talk about some of the cameras that the software is designed to work with, and of course, that fit into these school environments. Starting, of course, with the BirdDog P100. Eamon, tell us a little bit about the P100.
Yeah, sure. This might be my favorite camera actually, Jim. It's quite low cost in the scheme of things. It's got a broadcast Sony X4R sensor. It's full NDI, so there's a few different versions of NDI. We use the best quality version of NDI, and we have our own custom silicon chip inside the cameras to do the processing. So the P100 produces amazingly beautiful pictures at quite a nice price. We have people like the NBA going live to air on ESPN using this camera. And yeah, so it's truly broadcast quality. It has 4 outputs, which is pretty unique, I think, in a camera. So it's about as flexible as a camera can get. It's got USB. It's got the full NDI, which is the network protocol. We have SDI, which is basically baseband video, and HDMI, which I'm sure everyone knows. That's the sort of kind of the connection you have on the back of your TV. So yeah, basically it's got every output you could want. The USB connection means that you can use it not only as a broadcast camera, but with things like Teams and Zoom and things like that. Like I'm using it right now, coming into you via Teams. I'm using a P100, and yeah, it's a beautiful little camera. It's yeah, it's probably my favorite camera in our range actually, even though it's the entry level.
Absolutely, and I think that's one of the important things to note for the school environment too, is you can take the P100 with the USB output from the camera, feed it into whatever your school is using, whether it's Zoom, Google Meet, or any other conferencing platform. You have a good quality camera with auto tracking capability that you can now set up and running very quickly, very easily, and at a very, very affordable price. Now, Eamon, you said the P100 is one of your favorite cameras. If the P100 is one of your favorites, then I'm going to say that my favorite is the P200. The P200 is just a little bit bigger than the P100 in terms of its image censoring capability, but also in its optical zoom capability. I think when you bring this camera in at a 30x zoom, you could install it pretty much anywhere and everywhere and get an excellent image.
Yeah, the P200 is sort of our flagship product. It is the sort of camera that has defined our company in a lot of respects. It's full NDI. It's got a Sony X4R sensor. It's got a Sony image module. So it's basically about as good as you can get from a picture quality point of view. We have some bundles as well where you get a free PTZ controller, and I think that is not in the slide deck, but you can contact video guys and check that out. It's got tally, it's got video, it's got audio, and yeah, it's just amazing picture quality. The 30x optical zoom, as you say, Jim, means you can zoom across a football field or something like that with no problems at all. So you can pretty much set it up in at the back of a control room in a basketball stadium or something like that, and certainly any large auditorium for educational requirements as well.
Absolutely, and trust me, if I have an opportunity to put some of our promotional offers in the slide deck, I'm going to take every opportunity to do that. So stay tuned. When we're done, I'm going to tell all our viewers about some of the great deals we've got on the BirdDog cameras, because some of these are really hot off the press too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so as you can see here, this is a shoot that was live for Amazon Sports in Australia doing swimming. That's a 50-meter pool. I'm not sure what that is in feet. I think it's about 150 feet. But they had no problems zooming to the crowd or to the other end of the pool, swimming pool, and things like that. So, even the largest of classrooms, it'll handle it, no problems at all.
Absolutely, and what's great is swimming is one of the few sports in the U.S. that also is measured in meters. So
well,
that's very easy to follow. Otherwise, we just confuse everything.
Yeah.
Now, we talked about the HD cameras in the P100 and the P200. BirdDog also has 2 options available in 4K cameras, starting with the P400. Eamon, tell us a little bit about this camera.
Yeah, the P400 is sort of, I don't know, it's one of our sleeping cameras. It's a really beautiful camera in terms of the picture quality. It looks exactly the same as the P200, so it's the same size and same kind of body shape. But it's actually got a 4K Sony X4R sensor in there. It's got 20 times optical zoom, which should be enough for most classrooms. Yep. And yeah, it's got 3 outputs that are all live at the same time. So you've got the NDI, you've got the SDI, and the HDMI to connect to traditional infrastructure, plus the NDI if you're going into this new world of networked video. and they're all live at the same time. So you can have NDI going out to one feed, you can have SCI or HDMI going out to another. And the beautiful thing about using the NDI is, yeah, as we said, it's a single cable solution. So you can run a single cable to it. You can access them all from Cam Control anywhere on the network. Adjust all of the color properties. We've got full color matrix and unbelievable tools for adjusting the gamma and the black levels in these cameras. And yeah, this has got excellent light sensitivity, so it'll perform very well in dark classrooms and things like that.
Absolutely. And Gary talked a little bit on our introduction for today's show about 4K capability, 4K resolutions, and where this fits in to schools. One of the biggest concerns that we get when we talk to an IT director who's looking to set up a production system is the future proofing of the technology that they're investing in today. And that's where the argument for 4K becomes very easy, because now they're seeing, well, I don't need 4K to stream today. But as YouTube and all of these other CDNs are starting to push the envelope, and as bandwidth is starting to become more readily available at faster and faster speeds, to get the best image quality available really is a good reason to step up to the better cameras, which brings us to the top of the line with the P4K.
Yeah, so it's hard to describe how good this camera actually is. It's almost cinematic in the look of the camera. So you get a beautiful like creamy bokeh, which is the blurred background and the shallow depth of field. But it's got a huge 1-inch Sony XMR sensor, so it's the same sensor that's in high-end, like super high-end Sony cameras. It's got a 4K output, so you can shoot in 4K. But as you said, Jim, you can crop in and get a HD image out of that, and that HD image is going to be processed on a much better sensor, so you're going to get better pictures out of it. There's a slight error there. It's not 30 times optical zoom; it's 10 times optical zoom, but it's PoE, and yeah, it's a beautiful camera. This camera you can shoot actual feature films or TV commercials, and in fact we've got customers here in Australia that film TV commercials with this camera rather than using like a high-end Red or Arri or something like that. And yeah, the image out of this camera is just exceptional.
Absolutely. And in the academic market, what we're seeing is a video production studio that's being set up in the school to teach the students to come in and use the production tools that are being used in the industry. Not only can you set up the P4K in that environment, but you can color match the P4K with some of the other cameras that are cinema cameras that are being used in the same environment quickly and easily, which really brings us full circle to some of the software tools that you offer. With Cam Control and with BirdDog Color, there really is a lot of capabilities for people who are using the BirdDog cameras to really get the best image quality possible.
Yeah, that's true. So like with all of our cameras, and this is the beautiful thing about them being networked, is anywhere on the network you can adjust the camera, and all of our cameras come with a full color matrix. So you can adjust all of the red, green, blue, cyan, yellow, and magenta properties. You've even got Kelvin control on some of the cameras, and yeah, in the broadcast land, they call it shading or color painting the cameras, and we can do all that over the network without the need for any high-end tools. So some camera companies sell really expensive control panels for that. We can do it all through software, which is really a massive leap into the future.
Oh, absolutely, it most definitely is, and all of these can be controlled with BirdDog's NDI keyboard, which is the PTZ Keyboard. Very compact, very easy to set up and use, all through that NDI technology once again.
Yeah, and like I said, we can access all of these cameras through our software. Some people still prefer a tactile joystick and some hard buttons that they can use to switch the cameras or do really clever things like program API calls. So if you're using something like vMix or TriCaster, you can put those macro recall buttons in, so you can press a button and it'll not only change position of the camera, but it will switch that into the software itself, and yeah, various things like that. So it's a tactile keyboard for controlling everything that is available in the camera itself.
And Eamon, I'll tell you, I have been doing an informal poll myself for the last 3 years selling the PTZ cameras, and the over-under age seems to be 35. Those people over the age of 35 prefer the tactile controller with the joystick that they could use. Once you start getting the students and the graduates and anyone younger than 35, they want to see what they could do on the software. They want to see what they could do on the touch screen, and they don't want to touch the hardware controller. Would you agree?
Yeah. Well, I would love to say that I'm under the 35 and I fall into the software camp, but yeah, probably I prefer a tactile surface as well.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And while we're talking about the PTZ cameras, we have to talk about one of the newer cameras, which is the box camera, the PF120.
Yeah, so the PF120 is just we've basically taken all of that goodness of the P100 and put it inside a camera that doesn't have the pan tilt and zoom, the pan and tilt. It's still got the zoom. So you got exactly the same picture quality as the P100. As I said earlier, that goes live to air on ESPN, so it's truly broadcast quality. And this is great for putting it into fixed environments where you don't need to move around the camera. You don't need to track someone on stage. You can just put a couple of these up and switch them whenever you like. Great for sports as well. So things like backboard cameras, basketball, or finish line cameras in swimming or racing. Really cool little camera.
Yep.
It's a truly remarkable camera. We released this earlier last year, and we're really proud of it. It's been going really well.
And what I love about it too is it really reinforces the BirdDog messaging as an NDI company, not a PTZ company. We've been with BirdDog since the beginning, and you guys made some of the best NDI converters still on the market today. Broadcast quality, HDMI or SDI to NDI solutions, 4K converters, quad converters. So putting that NDI technology into an affordable box camera to complement everything that you've done with the PTZ camera reinforces that full NDI workflow and how BirdDog really has solution to fit into every need throughout that workflow.
Yeah, it's actually a great point, Jim. We present to the world as a kind of a finished broadcast camera company, but actually our heritage and how we see ourselves internally is actually as an engineering company. We developed our own custom silicon chip that does all of this NDI processing, and that is really the foundation of our company that goes inside all of our products, whether it's a camera or a converter, and then we use software applications to tie it all together. So we're only about 5 years old, and we've got really big plans for the future. So it's a really good point that you make.
And that's great. And what I loved about the slide that you had earlier showing the P200 being used over the swimming pool is how great the weather is in Australia. Because you also make the all-weather cameras when you don't have the blessing of having a beautiful sunny day. The A200 and A300 cameras are made to give you that same PTZ capability in a little bit more of an all-weather housing. Eamon, can you introduce the A200 for us, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's interesting you say that. That was a swim event that was shot for Amazon Sports.
Okay.
We have a saying here in Australia: if you don't like the weather, just wait for 15 minutes. The following day, it was like drenched rain. It was really wet, but they actually had installed a few of these guys. And the beautiful thing about the A200 is it's pretty much the same broadcast quality pictures you get out of a P200 with the same sensor and the same image module. But it's in an all-weather housing, so it's completely waterproof. It's IP67 rated. You can leave it outside for days, and it's even got a windscreen wiper for wiping off the rain off the lens itself. So so they're actually using a bunch of these in that same shoot, and it's lucky they did because it was pretty wet.
Yeah, I would imagine so. And then we go to the wait. Is this picture from this shoot? Oh, look at that.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
I forgot this slide was in the slide deck, and I really segued perfectly.
Yeah, exactly. That's good. I need to publish some video footage, but the apartment building you can see in the background, it's hard to kind of describe what a 30x optical zoom can do for you, but we could literally see people's faces and things like that on the balconies of that apartment building.
Oh, wow.
We didn't do that, obviously, and we're not going to publish that video because we can't put people's faces without permission. But it just sort of shows, like, that's a full swimming pool. It's got a stadium behind, and then we can zoom in out of the venue itself and into neighbouring facilities. So yeah, the 30x optical zoom is more than enough for auditoriums.
Absolutely. And then how does the A300 fit into that product line?
Yeah, so the A300 is basically the same as the A200 in a slightly more industrial housing. So this guy will stand up to I think it's a Category 4 Hurricane. You can pretty much hit the sides of this thing with a baseball bat. It is just rock solid. It is just a beast of a camera. We have this installed all over the place, including fixed installations for weather monitoring. We have them fixed in North Sydney. We have them fixed to the top of a building, and they just do weather shots for like morning TV, so they can look at the Opera House and the Sydney Harbour Bridge and things like that. It's just a beast of a camera. Yeah,
that's
pretty
great.
much unbreakable.
And especially once we start getting to the A200 and A300 cameras, we have a huge nationwide network of resellers and system integrators that we work with regularly. If you need a P100 camera to put in the front of the classroom, you can buy the camera, set it up, and you're up and running. If you need an integrator to come in and be able to work with you on the right mounting solution, where the camera is going to go, how you're going to get the best image quality, reach out to us, 800-323-2325, and we'll connect you with a local dealer in your area who can help spec out the entire production system. Eamon, a lot of times what happens in schools is they'll start out with a real basic need, and then that production starts creeping across the entire campus. And some of these installations become more challenging than others, so by having an integrator to work with, it definitely helps lead to success to make the best investment possible.
Oh yeah, definitely. We go to car dealers to ask their advice on a car. Same thing. Go to a professional video reseller, ask their advice on the best system for you. I really love this customer story that you've got up there, Jim. It's this to me, they've captured the full essence of what is possible with BirdDog cameras. There's a school district, Del Norte, I hope I say that right, in Northern California. When the pandemic hit, they realized they still had to get the message out for streaming sports and streaming high school events like graduation and things like that. But they've got, I think, 15 cameras, and they're going to upgrade that to even more. They've got a really good mix of indoor and outdoor cameras, and these are all networked. So, across their campus, they can access these cameras from up to 2 miles away and then stream them. So, they're to run video cable 2 miles, Jim, I'm not sure how expensive that would be, but it's probably not even really that feasible, right? We have to somehow convert it to a network signal. The beautiful thing about BirdDog cameras is they're all networked straight out of the box. So you can access an outdoor camera or a series of outdoor cameras that are fixed installation next to a sporting ground and bring those into your master control room. And that could be literally anywhere on the network, whether it's 100 meters, 200 meters, or a couple of miles.
Absolutely. So, Eamon, I did say earlier that I wanted to talk about some special promotions that we have right now. The P100,
awesome.
The first camera that you talked about, you called it your favorite, is available now for under $1,500. That's right. At $1,499, it becomes the most affordable full NDI camera with auto tracking capability using their cam control software. The P200, my favorite, is now $2,799. So it's a $200 instant rebate off of either of these cameras. And then the special bundles that you alluded to, if you purchase 3 of the P200 cameras, you get the BirdDog PTZ Keyboard controller free. That has now been extended to the P400 cameras as well. And the greatest thing is you can mix and match. If you want 1 P400, 2 P200s, if you get 3 of those cameras, you get the free PTZ keyboard. And this is available from all of our system integrators across the US. Once we start getting into these multi-camera systems, let's make sure we get you set up with your local integrator who can tell you how to best set up these cameras, use the keyboard, connect everything to your network. Maybe you're using a Netgear M4250 switch, and we can get everything set up in NDI and working together. Eamon, thank you so much for joining us today.
Jim, I'll jump on these calls anytime. I love talking to you, and thanks for the opportunity.